Hey everybody, Matt from MasterSketchup.com, and today I want to show you how to model anything from the IKEA catalog. Now, why would you want to do this? Well, the thing that's really cool about SketchUp is it has a built-in tool called the photo matching tool, and it allows you to take a model of something and place it over a photo and change the perspective view of the model to match the perspective view of the photo. So it's a great way to visualize, if you're looking at something in the IKEA catalog and you're not sure if you want to get it, you can put it over a picture of your room and play around with it and see if it's something that you're going to like. Okay, so the first thing you're going to want to do is go to the IKEA website and select the country that you're from. And then in the search bar, you're just going to search for whatever furniture you want to model. So in this case, I'm going to use the Jimenez, whatever it's called, coffee table. So go ahead and search for that. And this is the one right here that I want to model. So now we're on the product page. And we're going to grab a lot of information right from this page. Now the first thing that's pretty obvious is the picture, and if you actually click on it, you can see that we have a nice zoomed in high resolution photo of the coffee table, and it gives us a lot of information, you can see this bottom tray has a recessed lip, it's recessed into the rails a little bit. You can kind of look over here and see how much the tabletop overhangs the legs. So things like that are really important to know. The other thing that you want to look for is you scroll down the page a little bit and you can click on product information, and that will give you the length, width, and height of the furniture. Now pretty much all things on the IKEA website have these dimensions, and these will kind of give you an idea of the maximum dimension that furniture is going to take up. So it'll what we'll do is we'll create a boundary box, and we'll know that our model has to fit within that box in order to be accurate. The next thing we're going to use is the assembly instructions. So you click on that and you can see we have this nice guide with all these little illustrations in it. And you see this cool guy, putting together the furniture and all the little parts and stuff. We don't really need to worry about the little parts. The purpose of this model is just kind of give us a visualization of what it's going to look like. So you don't have to worry about modeling any of these parts, but you can see, we're looking at all the different pieces of the coffee table and how it comes together. So we'll actually be able to use these illustrations to kind of guess as to the different sizes and dimensions of all the little parts, and it just kind of gives us a really good visualization of how the table's put together. So definitely save that. Another thing you can do is go to Google and do a product search for that. So the Jimenez coffee table, and if you click on images, that'll give you a bunch of images that you can look through to just get some different perspectives of the table. Like here's a nice one. Someone took a picture of their own coffee table. Now another thing you can do is a advanced search. So google.com/advanced_search, and you can search for the same thing, Jimenez coffee table, and what we're going to do is actually search Craigslist, because a lot of people who are selling things will post pictures of them, and we don't want to just go to Craigslist.com because you can't search the entire Craigslist site. You can only search your local site. So this expands it and searches the entire Craigslist.org, all of their sites. And you can look and see, here we got here we have a nice picture of the table that we could use. And you can kind of go through all these, and it just gives you different perspectives of what it looks like, to kind of give you an idea of how to draw it. Okay, to get started, what we're going to want to do is create a box that's equal to the dimensions that were given for the product. So grab the rectangle tool and create a rectangle, and then this table is 46.5 by 29.5. Alright, and then use the push-pull tool to bring it up to 18 1/8. Then we'll just triple click that, make that into a group. So this will be like the outline to tell us, how big the table's going to be. And then from here, what you want to look for is whatever part of the furniture that is going to be, the biggest part. So like for instance, in this case, the tabletop is the widest part. So that's probably going to be the dimension that they're calling out. So let's go ahead and we can reference this box to create the top, since it's in a group. Use the rectangle tool and push-pull. I'm just going to go up, I'm going to guess that it's 1 inch thick. Then triple click, make that into a group, and then we'll move that out of the way. So we'll move that over here. And because the instructions, the assembly instructions, are shown for the most part upside down, I'm actually going to create this this table upside down in SketchUp, and then we'll turn it right side up when we're finished. So now that we have the tabletop drawn, let's create a few guides to that way we can create the legs. So just looking at this image in the assembly instructions, we can see that we have an offset, I'm going to guess about 2 inches to the legs, and then probably about a 1/2 inch here. So we can go ahead and do that right here in SketchUp. So we'll create a guide, go 2 inches, and then on each side we'll go 1/2 inch. Then we want to try to figure out what thickness the legs are. So just making a guess at it, I would say that the legs are 1.25 inches wide by 1.75 inches long. So we'll go ahead and start that and type in 1.75 inches by 1.25 inches. Now remember, we don't have to be perfect with this because we're just using it to visualize what it looks like in our space. So you can see I'm referencing that rectangle that we made here. I just pulled the leg up to that, so I know that's going to be within the dimensions. And then we'll triple click that, make that into a component. We'll call that legs, and use the move tool. Hit Control on your keyboard to create a copy. We'll snap right to that tape measure guide. Now the next thing that we're going to want to do is create the stretcher and apron for the table. And if we look back at the assembly instructions, if we scroll up a little bit, we can see what that looks like. So you can see here the stretcher is flush with the inside corner of the leg, and we can make a guess at those dimensions too. I'm going to say 3/4 inch thick by 2 inches high. I will spin around here. I'll start the rectangle. Now everything here is already in a group, so I don't have to worry about anything sticking. And I'll just specify the width of it. Grab the push-pull and go up to, what did I say, 2 inches. And then we'll make that into a component. Stretcher. Okay, and then we have another apron. So actually, yeah, that's the apron there, and then there's a stretcher about midpoint. So we have the apron. We're going to draw this stretcher here, and we're just going to make a judgment as far as where we want it to go. So we'll grab the move tool. We'll start a move and hit control. And we want to be locked into the blue axis, so we can just hit the up arrow and just drag it to somewhere where you think it looks like it should be. Then now that we have this whole side assembled, you can hold down control, select all of these, and make a group. And then with the move tool, hit control, make a copy, and then we'll just rotate this around and move that back to our intersection. And then we just need to make the other apron and stretcher. So I'll go ahead and grab this stretcher component and hit Control C to make a copy, and Control V is paste. So I'll do that, rotate this around, and move it into position. I'll make a copy of that, hit Control, bring that up there. Then I will select both of those, grab the move tool, hit Control for copy, bring it over there, and then with the select tool I'll hit Control again to make a multiple selection, and then I'll use the scale tool, which I don't have shown here. And here's the scale tool, and just scale it out there. Now the last thing that we'll do is create the bottom shelf. So to start, I'll just use the rectangle tool to start at each corner, and then the push-pull, we'll make the shelf a 1/2 inch thick, and then triple click, make that a group. Now if you remember by looking at the pictures, the bottom shelf was recessed down by about a 1/4 inch or so. So we want to go ahead and add that little detail. So we'll hit move and hit up on our keyboard to lock into the blue axis, and we'll click and type in 1/4 inch, and that kind of gives us that 1/4 inch reveal. Then if we wanted to add more detail and put the rails in here, we could do that as well, but I'm not going to do that right now. So then just to kind of finish it off, we'll select the whole thing and make a group out of it and delete our guides. And then that way we can flip our table over and we're done. So now that you have your model created, you need to create a mock-up of the room that you want to put the table in. You want to try to mimic the layout of the walls that are in the photo that you want to match to. And the other thing that you want to do is place the inside corner of the walls at the origin of the axis in your model. So if you can reference the inside corner and just make sure that it matches up with the axis. And then also make sure that your table is sitting flush on the floor. So to start the match tool, you go to Camera and click Match New Photo. Select the image you want. And it looks like a big mess, I know. To kind of get a rough orientation, you can grab this yellow line and drag it around to kind of get a rough perspective. And then what you want to do is grab this origin and drag it over to where the corner in the photo is, the corner of the walls that are in the photo. So we'll drag that over there. Okay. And then now we have two red arms and two green arms. And what we need to try to do is match these up with the green axis in the photo and the red axis in the photo. So if you imagine the model, you know, let's say the picture wasn't there. The green axis is right here, which is the inside corner of, you can see the wall in the photo. So the inside corner where the carpet meets the wall, right there, that's where the green axis is. So we can drag this green axis over to it. And we want to just kind of line it up. Now things are going to get really crazy for a while until you get this straightened out. And I'll drag this one over here just to get it out of the way. And then we'll do the same thing with the red axis. We'll drag it over here. Since we can kind of see this corner, we'll line it up with that and align it there. Okay. You kind of have to ignore what's going on in the model until you get a good, basic configuration, because that's where it gets really confusing. And then you have to kind of keep adjusting things as you're going before it starts to really look like something that works. So once you have the perspective kind of laid out, the next thing you have to do is scale the model to match the photo. So if you drag over any one of these axis lines, it initiates the zoom part of it. So you just click and drag out until it's zoomed appropriately. Then once you have it all configured, you just hit done, and it creates a new scene for you for this matched photo. So if you orbit around, that'll disappear. Now one thing that you can do, if you want, you can select this, hide it, and then click Project Textures from Photo. And yes, it's okay to trim partially faced. And you can see that it has projected that photo onto the wall. So if we go back to the scene with the matched photo and unhide that table, now we can orbit around to pull it out of that scene and make the table visible. So now we can use the move tool to move the table around, or rotate it. And you can do this with any furniture in the IKEA catalog, and you can do it with anything really. It's really cool how Sketchup allows you to superimpose a model right over a photograph. And if you'd like to learn more about Sketchup, please visit mastersketchup.com.